Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. So today for this video, we're going to be sharing some quick review and tips, for your biology paper. So if you're sitting for SPM in February of 2021, I strongly suggest you listen in to us. So we'll be going through an analysis first. This is particularly focused on paper 2 because as I'm sure you know, paper 2 is carrying the most amount of marks, right? So if you want to score, you better target that. So as you can see for Form 4, there are a few subtopics that have been repetitively asked in the past year questions for the last few years. So for chapter 3 and chapter 4, it mostly comes out in section A. So what does that mean? Easy marks, because it's only going to be 2, 3 or 4 marks maximum, right? So you should try to focus on learning about that. And moving on to the bottom part, for chapter 9, it's always very much asked in section B for your essay question. So most students are going to be afraid to do this, to choose chapter 9 questions. So I would say, why be afraid? Because it's really easy marks. A lot of marks are given for common sense answers because these are normal human activities that endanger our ecosystem, right? So I would suggest you to choose that for your essay question. So let's tune in to Form 5. So we have chapter 1 and chapter 3. A lot of important facts and information over here. So you do not want to miss out on revising that. We'll briefly cover a little bit. Also, chapter 4 is not to be forgotten, especially the subunits that have been shared over here. So let's just go into some of our Form 4 chapters. Alright, so for carbohydrates, I'm sure most of you have seen all of these names. It's easy to get confused sometimes, but if you see them all together, it makes a lot of sense. Monosaccharides, disaccharides, polysaccharides, right? So just remember, only for the first row, there is a proper flow, a connection. Glucose, maltose, starch. There's a thick black line over there before glycogen and cellulose. So why is that there? Because there's absolutely no connection to the monomers and dimers that come before. Alright? And sucrose is very special. Why? Because it's the only disaccharide that is a non-reducing sugar. But you can change it and make it become reducing. How do you do that? Just by adding hydrochloric acid to sucrose. Then it's going to become its components, which are fructose and glucose. Therefore, they are going to test positive with the Benedict's test. As for the functions, you really got to remember for starch, glycogen and cellulose, all of those are written at the bottom. Moving on to enzymes, that's also part of chapter 4. So of course there are 4 factors that affect enzyme activity, so it's very important to remember. pH and temperature, right, are 2 of the most important variables for many experiments because they are always used. So let's say temperature is the manipulated variable for one experiment. What do you do for the control? You can easily put pH as the control. These two variables are always played around with. So it's important to remember that. As for enzyme concentration and substrate concentration, these are usually always tested in the graph. So when you have a graph like that, rate of reaction and one of the factors over here, remember that the factor that is on the x-axis, that's going to be your limiting factor. What is a limiting factor? Any factor that is going to cause your reaction to level up, to stop. So whatever is on the y-axis could keep increasing and increasing and increasing, but what's on the x-axis, that's going to be your limiting factor. So remember, x, not the y-axis. Alright? And if it comes to the ES complex, never ever forget the keyword of active site, because each substrate will only bind to one enzyme that will recognize it on its active site. Alright, so don't forget that as well. Moving on to chapter 6 for nutrition. So this is again a very important chapter, and one of the most important would of course be the digestive system. As you can see, there are many definitions, but we're only going to cover the most important one. So what's the meaning of digestion? Why do we need to do this? The key is to break all those large insoluble macromolecules to make them become small soluble ones. So the keyword is small and soluble. Why? So that they can easily flow in our bloodstream and go to those body cells where they are going to be used. Okay, and then absorption. Where does this happen? In our small intestine. Who's doing absorption? The villus. Okay, and the villus, remember, both our systems, BCS, blood circulatory system, is represented by the blood capillaries, whereas the lymphatic system is represented by the lacteals. Okay, so villus is very important. Do read up on that as well. And assimilation, maybe you might have overlooked this. This is actually the job of the liver. Liver is like the manager. He's going to decide which molecules are going to be used to make which macromolecule that is limited. For example, if there's so much of glucose, some of it is going to be converted into glycogen and stored where? In the liver itself, or sometimes in our muscle cells. Whereas some of the glucose could be converted into fats to be stored for energy that will be used later on. Okay, and in this diagram you can see that there are all of the important organs and the enzymes or secretions that come from each of those places. Be sure to memorize all of them. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, chapter 9, it's very easy to score for your essay. Imagine if you got a question on deforestation. Just by seeing all of these points in the slide, you can already get 5 marks. Of course, you don't just list them down. You got to write proper sentences. And with that, it's going to be so easy. So I would strongly suggest to read up this chapter, choose it for your essay. Okay? Now, let's move on to our Form 5 chapters. So for chapter 1, transport system, a lot of things to remember. The blood circulatory system, lymphatic system, the role of our body in defense. Okay, so I'm just going to cover a few of the main parts. So of course, for our BCS, we have 3 major cellular components, right? You got to remember them. And our blood plasma is made up of water and dissolved substances. So you could ask me, what are these dissolved substances? It's very easy. Most of them are just the nutrients that have already been broken down by our wonderful digestive system, right? And it also includes waste products such as urea and our respiratory gases. So that's just a fancy way of saying oxygen and carbon dioxide, all right? And what about the last 4? Enzymes, hormones, antibodies, plasma proteins. Please do remember that all 4 of these are examples of proteins. A lot of the molecules in our body that we need to function are actually all just proteins. Okay, so try not to overlook that point as well. Next, moving on, is about our body's natural defense system. So whenever you go into war, you're going to need a lot of different lines. You're going to need a lot of frontliners, and you have backliners, a lot of different people involved, right? So for us, we got our first line of defense, second and third line. So the first line is just mechanical barriers. No reaction is going on. Second line, there's some chemical reaction going on. Moving on to the third line of defense, which is the most important one. It's done by our white blood cells. Okay, so our phagocytes, right, they are like machine guns. Okay, so if there's any foreign antigen that comes in our body, it doesn't care which type of pathogen, it's going to shoot everybody. Fire! When I say shoot, I don't mean directly shoot. What it's gonna do is they're gonna engulf. Okay, so you can see it over here that the phagosome, the phagocyte, is gonna be engulfing the particular pathogen. Okay, whereas the lymphocytes, they are going to act like snipers because they're going to produce antibodies that are going to directly only recognize one particular type of antigen on a particular pathogen. Okay, so be sure to note, one antibody can only recognize one antigen, which is actually shown in the diagram shown in the slide. Okay, moving on to chapter 3, coordination and response. So of course this chapter is also very important, and these two definitions of homeostasis and negative feedback mechanism, right, you can easily reuse them for many different types of questions over here. Okay, so it's important to know, especially negative feedback. What does it mean? When a value of a certain substance in our body goes too high, our body is going to do something to bring it back to normal. As for when it decreases, again, a negative feedback is going to bring it back up to the normal level. Alright, so there are a lot of different examples that can be used, but blood glucose level control is one of the most famous ones. So it's very easy. When glucose goes too high, insulin is going to bring it back to the optimum. When glucose goes too low, glucagon is going to bring it back to the normal. Okay. Alright, and the next example would be for our internal body temperature. So this one can get pretty confusing, okay? How do you help yourself? You remember what the 5 types of effectors are that can easily show you what's going to happen next. So the first one is smooth muscles of arterioles, sweat glands, erector muscles of skin, skeletal muscles, as well as adrenal and thyroid glands. Okay, so the process, as you can see, is shown in the diagram. I hope that these few tips that have been shared are going to be of service to you. So thank you very much for tuning in, and all the very best for your papers.